Can we get some ice? Can I tell you watch over here?
Go get Erica.
Jake Paul's talking about fighting Gervonta Davis, who's 135 pounds, and then on the other hand, he's talking about fighting a 260 pound monster in Anthony Joshua. Listen, he's crazy enough to probably do it all if the money's right, but we're not really interested in waiting until 2016. And we're certainly not basing our career around a potential fight with Jake Paul, but if we were offered it, why not?
You will not believe what just went down. People are worried Jake will cancel the fight. Even Eddie Hearn is probably pacing like a dad outside a delivery room. But buckle up, because Anthony Joshua just attacked Jake Paul after the cancellation. And not with fists, but something way more painful. Jake might need emotional headgear for this one. Did AJ finally snap? Did Jake poke the bear a little too hard? Stay right here, because this boxing drama just hit maximum chaos.
Overhand right. Jake Paul very relaxed. He eats a stiff.
I do think he's crazy. I think he's got absolutely no chance. I think he's going to get smashed to pieces. Listen, for us, we received an offer that was massive money and a really easy fight. We were talking about fighting this week here in an 8-round fight. Now we're fighting in an 8-round fight for 40 times more money against Jake Paul. So I love the opportunity for AJ on so many levels. I think it's a straightforward fight.
Anthony Joshua apparently woke up one morning and chose chaos. Not training, not mindfulness, not yoga, pure chaos. Because out of all the possible reactions to a canceled fight, nobody expected him to go after Jake Paul like a man who just found out his Wi-Fi bill doubled.
The Jake Paul fight's just been cancelled. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's been cancelled because his opponent couldn't lose 16 pounds.
Allegedly. Most likely that was cancelled for numerous reasons. That may have been one of them. But the allegations that I'm hearing are that they sold so few tickets that it would be a real problem in terms of like financially to even break even. Because what Dana White said that he had heard they had only sold $1 million worth of tickets. If you want to turn the lights on in Madison Square Garden, it costs $500,000. You have to sell a lot of fucking tickets if you want to make some money in Madison Square Garden. And if you want to make money on pay-per-view, there's a threshold.
Everybody thought this was going to be one of those civil mutual respect cancellations. A handshake, a tweet, the usual, we'll make it happen one day. Instead, Joshua basically pressed the nuclear button of boxing pettiness and aimed it directly at Jake Paul's ego.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitates a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul.
The boxing world was stunned. Reporters scrambling, influencers screaming into microphones, Jake Paul fans refreshing Twitter like it was a Black Friday sale. Even Jake himself looked confused, like someone just accused him of being natural at boxing without using a YouTube tutorial. Nobody saw it coming, not even people who make a living predicting YouTube drama.
I really do think that, you know, Jake Paul, again, I'm going to defend him 1,000% and what he's doing with boxing and what he's doing with his career. And again, everything happens for a reason. I'm glad actually this fight didn't happen because it wasn't a good look for Jake. You know, fighting a smaller guy and, you know, it just wasn't fair. It wasn't a good look. So maybe things were supposed to pan out the way they did. You know, Tank Davis, I don't know what's going on with him. I do wish him, you know, the best because
Anthony didn't attack with jabs or hooks. Oh no. He went straight for pride, legacy, sanity, and everything Jake is allergic to. Reality. It all started the second the cancellation news dropped. Fans were already arguing online about whose fault it was. Joshua supporters preached logic. Jake followers preached whatever Jake followers usually preach. But the boxing universe suddenly stopped spinning the moment Anthony opened his mouth. He didn't throw a punch, he threw something worse. Sarcasm sharpened into a blade. And Jake Paul, a man whose self-confidence survives every loss like it has 9 lives, actually flinched. It was like he saw his entire motivational speech catalog collapsing in front of him. The message was clear: don't play with professionals, because the second the fight got canceled, Jake probably thought he could walk away untouched. No press conference humiliation, no memes, no being compared to Logan's older, stronger brother, No trolls digging up old clips where he called himself the future undisputed champ of the world. He probably imagined himself sipping Prime backstage, explaining to his followers that timing just isn't right and everything fading away like a forgotten NFT project. Wrong.
What happens if Jake Paul actually beats Anthony Joshua?
I actually don't need to think about it because it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. We're going to be there in Miami. We're going to be ringside. We're going to watch it. We're there for the whole fight week. Part of me feels like there is something that's going to be thrown in the mix there, which makes people then go, oh, it's rigged.
I'll give you one name, right? Tommy Fury. He beat Jake Paul, and he is not a good boxer. Put him up against AJ, who is 10 times the fighter that Tommy Fury is. Jake Paul might have a problem.
Anthony Joshua was not letting him leave quietly. If boxing careers were supermarkets, Jake Paul just tried to sneak out pushing a cart full of unpaid groceries, and Anthony showed up like the security guard who has had enough for the week. The attack was metaphorical, but the impact was devastating. He didn't just challenge Jake's boxing ability, he tore into Jake's aura. The one thing that gives Jake superpowers online, strip that away and what's left? A personality brand trying to explain to the internet why life is hard. As soon as Anthony dropped his verbal hammer, the internet exploded. Analysts turned into gossip bloggers. Bloggers turned into psychologists. Psychologists turned into boxing commentators. Everyone was suddenly qualified to explain why Jake might be secretly terrified or publicly humiliated or silently plotting to upload a dramatic vlog called The Truth. And Jake Paul fans, who are usually louder than ring announcers at heavyweight title fights, suddenly became quiet, like the teacher just walked into the classroom while they were throwing paper balls. Meanwhile, Anthony acted like he just delivered justice. He didn't wait for approval, didn't wait for interviews, didn't wait for Jake to clap back. He just walked away like a man who said what he needed to say and now has protein powder to buy. The way he carried himself afterwards said, "My job here is done," even though the body was still warm.
What do you think about Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua?
Boy. Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division. Maybe we should watch the Francis Ngannou fight so you could see. Let's watch that real quick, just so you can see what Anthony Joshua is capable if he's fighting someone that's not.
Jake, on the other hand, suddenly entered survival mode. He tried the tactic every fighter uses when cornered. Pretend you're unbothered. The classic, I don't care, while refreshing comments every 14 seconds. He tried acting like Anthony wasn't in his head, but the way he logged onto every social platform at the speed of Spider-Man catching a bus made it obvious. When a man replies that fast, his brain is sweating. But replying didn't fix anything, because Jake Paul's comeback energy matched the equivalent of someone trying to swing a plastic spoon in a bar fight. He tried downplaying AJ, tried hyping himself up, tried reminding people he knocked out a retired basketball player that one time, but nothing worked. Every reaction he posted only fueled the fire. That's when the memes showed up, millions of them. It didn't take 24 hours. The internet built a digital museum dedicated to clowning Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua didn't have to say anything else because the meme community took over volunteer duty like firefighters who smelled smoke. Every clip of Jake training got a remix. Every motivational quote video became a joke soundtrack. Every interview clip was replayed in slow motion like a public autopsy. And Jake felt it. You could practically see the panic forming behind his sunglasses. The cancellation was supposed to save him from embarrassment, not launch him into a psychological cage match with a heavyweight champion who has mastered calm brutality. This wasn't a fight in the ring, it was a fight for dignity. And Jake's score was slipping fast.
AJ, listen, he was a great champion when he was champion, and if he is serious about boxing and serious about still being involved in the sport at a top level, that fight doesn't make any sense at all. Jake Paul has done well, to promote himself and saying that he's one of the best in the world, but if you look at it, he's not really a real boxer. He's a YouTuber come into boxing, and he has done well, but if AJ wants to be serious, then he has to fight the top fighters in the world.
And here's where it got interesting. Most fighters would let the chaos spiral, pop some popcorn, and watch. But Anthony went a step further. He framed Jake like a future case study in a boxing psychology textbook. Suddenly, every fan who doubted AJ's power outside the ring had to face the truth. The man doesn't need gloves to destroy careers. He carried himself like he was demonstrating a life lesson to the world. If you threaten a professional fighter's schedule, be ready for consequences. Commentators kept calling it unnecessary. Fans called it satisfying. Jake Paul called it uncalled for. But Anthony Joshua looked like a man who said, "I told you not to poke me, and now we're here." And not even a little sorry about it. The tension only grew from there. Jake's energy turned defensive, then emotional, then chaotic. One minute he was pretending nothing happened. The next he was making indirect jabs on social media that accidentally proved AJ's point. It was like watching a man trying to put out a fire with gasoline because he thought it was water. Whenever Jake tried to shift attention toward his next project, some new business, another training clip, another inspirational quote. Anthony's attacks stayed glued to him like unpaid debt. The audience didn't want to hear anything else. Every comment section was hijacked. Every post of Jake smiling turned into 1,000 people asking if AJ lives rent-free in his head. Jake couldn't escape it. He couldn't out-talk it. He couldn't out-hype it.
To boxing, and Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are in talks over a deal for a heavyweight fight in Miami next month. The news comes as Joshua trained with the team of undisputed heavyweight world champion Alexander Usyk. Joshua is still undecided as to whether the training regime will become a permanent arrangement. AJ hasn't fought so far in 2025, but now looks set to face Paul in December. Promoter Eddie Hearn was asked about the potential of an AJ Paul fight yesterday, and here's what he had to say.
Would it be Jake Paul for AJ?
You know, we've talked. I mean, if we're going to have a run out, I'd much rather have a run out with Jake Paul and just end that train. Do you know what I mean?
And Anthony, he looked like the calmest man in sports, eating meals, training, living, acting like nothing happened, because in his universe, it didn't. It was a minor act, a correction, a warning shot. Meanwhile, Jake was trying to figure out whether it was possible to sue sarcasm. That imbalance made things worse. The more Anthony ignored Jake afterward, the more Jake looked desperate for a win. Any win. He thought he was building a villain to hero redemption arc, but the audience saw a TikToker complaining the world is unfair because someone stronger showed up. Every new boxing call-out. People won't care about anyone else he challenges. Not Mike Tyson, not KSI, not whoever he picks next. The world now wants the man who exposed him without throwing a single punch. Jake Paul accidentally opened a door he didn't want to walk through, and Anthony Joshua is standing on the other side, waiting, silent, patient, with a smile that says, "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere."
Be careful what you wish for, because this ain't a game. This isn't YouTube. This isn't Disney. This is the danger zone. I think there's a very good chance it will happen next. At first, I thought it was a publicity stunt from Jake. And now, the more I speak to them, the more I actually understand Jake Paul thinks he can beat Anthony Joshua. You really want it? You want to go and put yourself in the lion's den against Anthony Joshua? We'll consider it. But this will be a fight. This will be a real fight.
Will Jake actually step up? Will he walk toward the career-defining fight that could either save him or break him permanently? Is he preparing behind the scenes for the biggest comeback ever? Or is he at home praying this blows over? Time will tell, but judging by how Jake reacts under pressure, there's a high chance the next boxing headline will be something like, "Jake Paul goes on spiritual retreat after Anthony Joshua breathes too aggressively near him." Still, somewhere underneath the chaos, the memes, the humiliation, and the plot twists, there's one truth that nobody can deny. If Jake Paul ever actually does get in the ring with Anthony Joshua, the entire world will watch. Not because of belts, not because of rankings, not even because of boxing. They'll watch because everyone wants to see if sarcasm can knock a man out twice. And if Jake survives, it'll be the greatest redemption arc YouTube has ever seen. And if he doesn't, well, at least he can always release a documentary titled My Journey, How I Got Beat Physically After Getting Beat Emotionally. Either way, the popcorn is ready. Because that's the thing about Jake Paul. For all the chaos, the controversy, the drama, he knows how to survive when people count him out. Not through technique, not through footwork, not through head movement, through marketing. He can slip a punch sometimes, but he can slip a headline every single time. And right now, that might be his only weapon. If he can't outrun Anthony in the ring, maybe he can outrun him in public perception.
Jake Paul has accepted to box Anthony Joshua. Do you think he stands a chance against Anthony Joshua?
Obviously, it's a huge mismatch. Anthony Joshua, he's fought the best of the best in boxing. But I think people got to start looking at Jake Paul, and he's good for boxing. Be a good paycheck for both those guys, and we'll see what happens.
I'm not sure Jake Paul's that crazy. If he is, you never know.
So maybe this week.
This week, we're going to decide whether we fight this year.
Oh, you'll have to tell me then, won't you, this week?
Now everyone's going to ask me every day. Sunday, we'll make a decision.
Yes, big.
So picture this. Jake suddenly training harder than ever before. Not because he wants to, but because the internet is bullying him into it. 10-hour gym sessions fueled not by passion, but by fear of memes. A man fighting not for legacy, but for the right to check comments without emotional damage. Suddenly, he's waking up at 4 a.m., punching the air like the air owes him money, screaming motivational slogans inside his head just to survive another day online. Every sparring partner becomes a temporary substitute for Anthony Joshua. Every glove bag becomes Anthony's identity. Every treadmill sprint is powered by the words, rent-free. Jake doesn't want revenge. He wants silence. Blessed silence. The kind where nobody asks him if he's scared of a heavyweight again. Meanwhile, Anthony Joshua watches from a distance like a professor observing a student who finally took the assignment seriously. No response, no reaction, no follow-up commentary. The silence of a man who knows he already won the first round without stepping inside the ring. If Psychological Warfare had rankings, AJ would be undisputed champion. Fans now have their popcorn permanently stocked. They refresh timelines waiting for one specific moment, the day Jake snaps. Not in the ring, but emotionally. The day he reaches peak desperation and challenges Anthony with that classic tone fighters get when they pretend they're totally calm while internally writing breakup poetry. Something in the ballpark of, let's settle this once and for all, while blinking aggressively like he forgot the script.
We have some breaking news out of the boxing world as it was announced fresh off of his fight cancellation with one Gervonta Tank Davis. Jake Paul is now scheduled to face off against former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua on a fight on Netflix in December in Miami.
Jake Paul.
This can't be real.
If you gonna fight him, fight him.
To be right.
If you gonna fight him, Jake Paul, fight him. I don't want to hear no clauses that Joshua got to come in at 220 pounds.
Oh yeah, no,
I don't want to hear no every round gonna be 30 seconds. I don't want to hear no wild. If you gonna fight the man, Jake Paul,
10 to 12
step
rounds.
into the ring, 10 to 12 rounds, and fight the man and earn.
And when that day comes, because everyone knows it will, the world will pause. Is Jake truly ready? Is he walking into destiny or disaster? Is he prepared to face a man whose sarcasm already bruised him? Anthony won't rush. That's the worst part for Jake. Heavyweights don't chase. They wait. And the longer Anthony waits, the more Jake spirals. It's the mental equivalent of being told, we need to talk, and then being left alone with your own imagination for 6 weeks. There's only one path left if Jake wants redemption. Fight the man who humiliated him without even breaking a sweat. Hope for a miracle. Hope for a punch that changes everything. Hope that the universe has character development arcs for YouTubers. But if the miracle doesn't come, if the punch lands the wrong way, then Jake Paul will wind up starring in the one movie he never wanted to film, the tragic sequel to his own hype. The trailer would write itself. A man who built a kingdom out of confidence faces the one person who can repossess it. Coming soon, unless Jake accidentally cancels again, and if he does, Anthony Joshua won't need to attack twice. The internet will handle it for him.